Hey there, and thanks so much for being here and watching my channel. Hi, I'm Teresa from Tree60 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my sewing studio. So today's tutorial is going to be the Traveler Pouch by Kandou Patterns, and this is a bag I'm making for my girlfriend, and I have already made one. So this is what it looks like. This is the one I've made for myself. And hers is going to be identical, except for the pumpkin that I used on mine is going to be a tan color. So this is a really neat pattern. I honestly didn't think I was going to like it, but I love the fact that it hangs right up against your body, and it will hang flat if you don't have a lot of stuff in it. And you can actually wear it under your coat. You can do your seatbelt up with it, and it doesn't move. It hugs your body and it's flat. So if you don't like a large sling bag out front, like I don't particularly, this is a perfect bag because it sits really close to and hugs the body. Now, it has a phone pocket here, and I forgot to get my phone out to show you. So this is a large phone, and it does slide in there. Mine's a little snug, but if you have a smaller phone, I have big Samsungs, the biggest ones. So it fits in there, and I have a little magnetic snap tab. Then on the front, there is a zipper pocket. Gotta have a poop bag, can't leave home without them. And I have in here my business card case, my mail keys. I have a lot of stuff. This is a large, I have a lot of stuff in here, didn't realize. This is a large pocket, and I can fit my hand in here. The bottom has some darts in it, so it gives it a bit of a curved 3D look. And then on the back, you have this big, huge pocket in here. So I have my large old leather wallet. It's quite large, and I don't have anything else, but it's small enough. It's big enough that you could put a Kindle or a Kobo in it, like an e-reader or a very small tablet. So the fabric that I'm using today is for my friend's bag. So the exterior faux leather is going to be the tan Mora faux leather from EMMALINE Bags. And this waterproof nylon with the PVC backing, and this is from Sam Fabric Creations. And then the interior lining for the pockets, because she liked this fabric as well. This is from Sam Fabric Creations as well, and it has a PVC backing as well. Now, I'm not interfacing any of my pieces, but on the very back panel, I will be adding some by Annie Soft and Stable sew-in foam, just to give the back a little bit more stability, because mine's quite squishy, which is okay. I don't mind that. And I will be using antique brass hardware. It has a connector here for your rectangle ring, 1.5 inch webbing, and then it has 2 D-rings. So there's a D-ring there, so you can wear it this way, or you can unhook that D-ring and you can hook it onto the D-ring that's at the top. So there's 2 cool ways to wear it, and you can wear it like this, vertical instead of horizontal. Now, when I made the webbing, I just used black cotton canvas webbing, but I took a strip of that of the Sam Fabric Creation waterproof nylon, and I just cut 1.5 inches wide, and then folded the 2 raw edges into the center, and then sewed it up the center of the webbing. And now it gives that kind of a boho bohemian look. I love the look and I love these colors. I mean, in this bag, I use the Prairie Faux Leather in Wood Lily from EMMALINE bags. So that is it that I can think of for this bag. Oh, it comes in, the pattern comes in a right hand or a left-handed person to wear the, to make the bag. So be very conscious of which way the person that you're making this bag for is going to wear it. Now I was cutting out on this bag, excuse me, the right-handed pattern. And, sorry, excuse me. So I was cutting out the right-handed pattern. But what I did was I cut the pattern pieces on the wrong side of the fabric, not the right side of the fabric. So then it turned my bag into a left-handed bag, not the right-handed bag. But that worked out perfect for me because I wear my bags on my left shoulder, and then that gives me access to my phone right here and the zipper here, and then this big zipper pocket here. So, and I forgot to mention, this zipper pocket is the whole entire back of this bag. So there's lots of room. So just be conscious when you're cutting out your pattern pieces. So if you're making the right-handed bag, because I believe right-handed people would, well, I'm right-handed anyways, but you would wear it on, you would have your strap on the right shoulder, and then your bag would be going the other way. But I made it, I cut out the right-handed pattern, but I traced my pattern pieces out on the wrong side of the fabric, which gave me a left-handed bag, but it works out for me because that's how I like to wear my bags, even though I'm right-handed. And as it turns out, my girlfriend who I'm making the other bag, this bag for, she prefers it that way too. She wears it the same way I do. So I've cut out my pattern pieces that way. All right, so let's get going. Get all of your things together. Oh, and before I forget, I always do this. I just want to thank everybody for being here. If you're already a current subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. If you haven't subscribed yet, just, you know, think about subscribing. On the bottom right of your screen, there's a little red subscribe button. Just click it and subscribe. Make sure the little notification bell says to see all posts. And then that way, when I go YouTube, I do a YouTube live, or I publish a new YouTube tutorial, bag making tutorial, then you're going to get a notification right away that I have done something with YouTube, and you won't miss anything. So I appreciate everybody being here, and get all your things together so that you can make the traveler pouch as well from Kandou Patterns, and figure out what color combinations that you're going to make with yours as well. This is, like I said, I wasn't sure about this pattern, but I thought I would make it and see what it was like, and I love it. I think it is a really, really great pattern, and I love the fact that it hugs close to your body, and it fits everything that I keep with me on a daily basis. Alrighty, get all your stuff together, figure out what colors and fabrics you're going to use, and I'll meet you all right back here and we'll start making this bag. See you soon. All right, so as I said, we're working on the traveler pouch by Kandou Patterns. This is the large one. There is a mini or a smaller one out there. So right now we need pattern piece B and pattern piece C. Pattern piece B has darts marked on the pattern piece. So I have my lower exterior, which is the tan Mora faux leather, and I have those marked with the dart marks. And we're just going to sew those. Just going to line those up. And we will sew them. All right. not very big darts, they're just little ones. But they add a little bit of a 3D effect to the front. I give it a little bit of a pouch. And I forgot to mention that you're sewing the right sides together when you're doing the dart. Okay, so there they are right there. Now I've marked my center on the top of this because this is going to be the bottom of the pouch. And then you're going to take your pattern piece C, which is the mid front, and I have my center marked. So what happens is when you have your pattern piece laid out, now don't forget I'm doing the left-handed version, so you have a narrow end at the bottom and you have a wider end. So I've got my wider end to the right. You have a wider end of the middle pattern piece C and a shorter end. So you're going to be sewing you're going to have the wider end with the shorter end on the middle part. So you take the pieces together like this, line up your centers. Clip them, and then we'll sew them and then flip them and top stitch. Okay. And sew at the seam allowance in the pattern as well. Okay, so we're starting to see a bit of the shape. So now I'm just going to push the seam allowance up towards the center piece, and then I'm going to top stitch that. All right, so there we have our two pieces sewn together, and at this point I'm going to put my bag tag on, my metal bag tag. Get it. Okay, and then I'll use some duct tape to help affix it on. This stuff is so sticky. It's Gorilla Tape, so it's pretty heavy duty stuff. Okay, so I want to find my center. I'm going to put it just below, on the center, just below this line. Even though we have an angle here, I have to make sure I've got it straight. I know that when I wear the bag, it's going to be going this way. It's not going to be laying flat, but it just all depends on which way you wear the bag. Just want to make sure that I line up my center so that I know where it's going to be, where the center is. Put a little fold up there. Okay, just get my ruler and make sure that it's even on both sides. Okay, it's got to come over. It's kind of awkward trying to line up something when I've got an angle here. Okay, so I'll just make my marks for where the slits have to be made. And I'll put my duct tape on the underside because that helps to support my bag tag. And I'll cut my slits. And pop the prongs into the slits. Put my washer on and then push them in, and then I'll just make sure that it's as straight as I can possibly see it. And then I will put the other side of the other piece of the duct tape over top of these prongs so that nothing will rub against the metal and cause any holes or anything like that. Okay, so this is what we have so far of our front panel. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so this is what we have so far of our front pocket and front panel. And so now what you're going to need is you're going to need this. Make sure your center has been marked on the top. You're going to need your one of your zipper pieces that she gives you the pattern measurement. Make sure your zipper pull is on. And then in the pattern, there's measurements for zipper tabs to make. So right now we are going to be putting these zipper tabs on the ends of our zippers. Straighten out my edges there. And put the right side of your zipper tab, and I've made mine out of the waterproof nylon from Sam Fabric Creations to match this panel piece here. So just clip those on. Oops. And we're going to sew those on with the seam allowance in the pattern, and then we're going to flip them over and top stitch them. I'll go over them twice just to make sure that they get sewn on good. Sometimes my thread doesn't like going over zippers, so maybe I won't do that twice. I'm just going to take my lighter quickly just to the ends of these zippers, just to make sure that they don't fray, because these look like they're fraying a bit. Okay, now we're just going to take the zipper tab that we just sewed on, and we're going to just flip it up straight, and we're going to top stitch them on. Bring this one over to this side. Okay. Just take the lighter to those thread ends. Okay, so then take your seams that you've just made and match them here. And mark your center from there. I make little notches. Okay, now you have to make sure that your zipper is oriented that it's going to close up, so that it's heading up, and you need the side that it's going to be facing heading up is your wide side of this piece here. So I'm just going to get some double-sided tape and lay it across this piece. And I already have my center marked on this panel. Okay, and we're going to match the centers from your zipper onto your panel, making sure that it's closing on the way up. Better. Okay, so we're going to sew across here and then top stitch. Let's find my end here. And make sure that when you get to your zipper pull, you move it out of the way. Okay. Okay, so now this is what we have so far. We have our zipper sewn onto our front pocket piece. Now we're going to get pattern piece D. Make sure that you mark your centers on the top. And this is the front pocket lining. So you have two pieces that are mirrored. Make sure you put them both wrong side up, like this. And have the short sides facing together like this. So because I'm making the left-handed side, I am going to be on the pattern, there is a measurement to draw a line, and you're going to cut this portion off. If you were making the right side, right-hand version, you would be working with this, with the right side. So I'm just going to cut this piece off of the lining. And that just gets thrown away. And then I'm going to mark my center. And then I'm going to put some double-sided tape across the zipper here. and take the piece that I just trimmed off, the shorter piece, make sure I've got the right one. And line up my sides, making sure I've lined up the center. So just line up your top edges. My zipper's going to be in the way. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to sew that on to this edge. I just have to watch this fabric because the PVC backing sticks to my sewing machine bed. Just move my zipper out of the way. Okay, so we have our shorter pocket lining sewn on, and then we're just going to flip that around and we're going to top stitch that. Get my zipper out of the way. Just make sure that you keep the lining on the underside and your pocket piece on the top side pulled enough away from the zipper that you don't that they don't get caught under the sewing. You don't get a bulge or buckling underneath and on top. Okay, so this is what we have so far, and this is the inside of the pocket lining. All right, so now we're going to take this part of the front that we've done already with the one side of our interior zipper front pocket, and we're going to take pattern piece E, which is the upper front, and make sure that your centers are marked, and you're going to lay this panel piece right side up, and you're going to put your right sides together with your centers marked here and your center marked here on your zipper. And I'm just going to run some double-sided tape across there to make sure everything sticks. Now, when you're putting this piece right sides together with this piece, this is a shorter end and the shorter end here on the middle panel piece. These two short ends are same side, and then the wider end here and the wider end here. So line up your centers. Okay, and then we're going to sew that. funny under there. Okay, and just move my zipper out of the way. What I should have done first was trim my zipper tabs off, so I'll do that now. I'll trim the zipper tab in alignment with this side. There we go. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Now, what we're going to do is flip it to the wrong side, and we're going to take this other lining piece that is the full size. I'm going to put double-sided tape right across the top of the zipper tape. And that's the wrong side of the zipper tape. And we're going to put the right side of the lining together with the right side of this lining, and mark your line up your centers. And make sure that your pattern pieces are your sides, your edges are matching, and we're going to stitch that in place. And just move my zipper pull out of the way. Okay, so we have it now stitched. Now you have your two zipper pocket linings. So clip those now together. And we're just going to sew them together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Flip it this way. It's just easier with the right side of the pocket up. Push the pocket back. And then you're going to sew from this edge right here and around and to the other edge. And if there's a bit of a hole there, don't worry about it because it'll all eventually get sewn together. You can see it sticking to my sewing machine bed. This is a very generous size pocket as well. It can fit a lot of stuff in it. Okay, so now when we open up our zipper, we have this beautiful pocket on the inside. So I'm just going to zip that back up, and now I'm just going to fold this exterior piece up, and then we're going to top stitch. Okay, beautiful. So there is our front panel so far with our great little zipper pocket, and it is huge. Like, that's a good size in there. Like I said, you can fit a lot of stuff. All right, I'll be back. All right, so now we are going to need our front panel that we've gone this far with. And we're going to need pattern piece G, your phone pocket lining, and your piece of stabilizer. So take one of your pocket phone pocket lining pieces of G, and you're going to take the short, there's a short edge and a long edge, so it's kind of like a cut-off triangle. You're going to put that right sides together with the top edge of your front panel. I'm going to clip it together and sew it at the seam allowance in the pattern. Okay, and then we're going to fold it forward like this. And we're going to push the seam up towards the pocket lining, which is the wrong side. And then you have your piece of stabilizer. Now, I'm using Decaville Light, just a strip of Decaville Light. I can't iron it on because of this PVC backing that'll melt. So I just have a couple of strips of double-sided tape. Oops, it won't stick. And your seam is pushed forward. Let's see it this way. And I'm going to line up my piece of Decaville Light on that seam, just like that. Okay, and I'll be back. Okay, so right now I'm going to make our tab, and I'm going to make mine with 2 strips of the Mora faux leather and a very small magnetic snap. So we're going to be working with the male portion of the snap, and I'm going to put some duct tape on the inside to help secure the snap on the inside, the prongs. And then what I'm going to do is, it is bigger than we want it to be, but I'm going to sew around and it'll be all cut down. But I want to get the snap, I want to get the tab on, or the magnetic snap on first. So I'm just going to lay the piece of double-sided tape or duct tape. Just find the center, and I can just put a crease in there so I have an idea where the center is. And then I'll take one of my washers and just lay it here. I know it's not quite accurate, but I'm just going to lay it on the piece of faux leather. Mark my slits. And then cut my slips, because the male portion is going to be the one clipping into the other side. So mark my slits or cut them. And then I'm going to put the magnetic snap male portion. So it's going to be on the, this will be the underside of the tab. Push the prongs down and then take the other piece of duct tape and cover it. And then I'm going to take more double-sided tape and I'm going to lay it all across that side, you know, the inside. I could glue it and use Fabri-Tac glue, but that'll just take too long. It'll just take too long to dry. And ideally, I kind of like to have this about, by the time it's finished and we have stitched around, I would kind of like to have it about, you know, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch at the most wide. So we're just going to peel off the double-sided tape. Get the backing off. And if the edges don't meet properly, then that's okay too, because we're just going to be sewing around. So I'm just going to line up my curve on this piece, or my edges. I know one piece is slightly smaller, and then I'll trim that around. So I'll just match up my edges. Okay. Now this side, I know this edge isn't even, so I'm just going to trim that down so we know we have, make sure when I sew it, it's centered. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew all the way down and around here and around the edge and up, and I'm going to try and get it as centered as possible and as narrow as possible because I have to get around that magnetic snap. How wide is that? It's 2 inches, 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch. Okay, let's see where I can go with this. Just start making the curve now. It might be a bit big, and I'll probably have to sew again just to tighten some of these seams up. Okay, well, that's not too bad. Okay, I'm just going to see if I can come in a little tighter and a little tighter around that magnetic snap. And then I'll be able to trim in between the two stitch lines. It's just getting around that magnetic snap. Okay. Okay, so now I have two sets of stitch lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the outer edge stitch, and then we will have our tab. Okay, so there we have our tab made with our male magnetic snap, and I'll be back. Okay, so now we have our tab made. I did cut it down to the length in the measurement in the pattern. I also took a lighter all around the raw edges just to make sure that there weren't any fuzzies. Now we're going to take pattern piece F, which is the strap connector piece. Make sure your center has been marked. We're going to place it right side up, and you're going to line up, you're going to put your tab. So this is the right side, this is the wrong side. So you're going to put your right side together with your right side of your pattern piece F, and then you're going to center that on the center mark that you've made, and then you're just going to baste that on. Okay, so now on this pattern, on this pocket piece, we have the one side of the interior phone pocket lining going up. We have our stabilizer along the back. I am going to, it doesn't have it in the pattern, but I found that when I made my other bag, I really felt that it needed to be top stitched along here. So I'm folding that seam down, and I'm going to top stitch along that edge of the more faux leather. It just gives a finished look to that the top of that pocket, but it also helps to stabilize that edge as well. Okay, and now we take our curved piece with our tab that we basted on, and we take the other lining pocket of the piece G, and we take it and we put our right sides together. Oh, sorry, not there. We put the right sides together of our tab connector with the short edge of the pocket lining. And then we sew that. Okay, so that's what we have so far. This is how it's going to look, and this will come over top of this section. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so we have our curved part attached onto the one side of the lining. So we're going to take the seams and push them up towards the flap part, and we're going to just top stitch across that. Okay, so now we're going to take this piece of this lining and this piece of this lining, and we're just going to put our right sides together. And we're going to clip them, matching our seams at the side here, here and here, and making sure that all of our edges match. Clip it together, and then we're going to sew around that. Just line up all your edges. Okay. And we're just going to sew from this seam all the way up the edge across the bottom part and back to this edge, this seam on this edge. Okay. So this is what we have. Should have gone the other way with that. It's what we have so far. And now we're going to put our magnetic snap, the female portion, on this side. Figure this out. Okay, so I just want to give it a bit of a, push it up a little bit so that it's not completely flat. I want to just give it a bit of a extra space here in case somebody's phone is really sticking up high. And in order to determine where my female portion is going to go, I'm just going to use my black marker. I want to make sure that these guys are all lined up too. That's what's going on. I got a little bit of a pucker. I overstitched there. There, that's better. No, it's not. Okay, that's better. I couldn't figure out why I was getting... Just want to clip these together so that I get it all lined up the right way. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I just take my black magic marker and I put a good dot on the male portion, the male part of this snap, of this tab, of the magnetic snap. And then I just kind of drop it onto the exterior or the fabric there. And now I have created a mark for my female portion of the magnetic snap, and I have the sun coming in like crazy. All right, let's just lower that. Okay. So I'll get some my Gorilla Tape. This stuff sticks really well. Okay. And what I want to do is, because we're not going to be going through this pocket lining, I just want to stick my stylus through the center of that dot that I made here. So it goes through to this side. I can take these clips off now. And then I'm going to put my Gorilla Tape, center it on my stylus so that that'll go and help secure my female portion of the magnetic snap. Okay, and I'll just take the washer, and on the tape part, I'll just center where I had the stylus come through, so that's where the center is going to be. And then I'll make my marks with the washer. Get my seam ripper. Make my slip marks. Flip it over to the right side and put my female portion of my magnetic snap sure it's all pushed down, and then put the washer on it. Okay, and then take the other piece of duct tape. And there we have our magnetic snap on here. Okay. Okay, so we have sewn our cell phone pocket together, the two lining pieces together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to line up that pocket edge with the top part of your bag and clip this edge as well. And we're just going to baste this closed, and we're going to baste this section closed, just 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Oops. And then I'm just going to baste this little section closed. So this, even though we don't have our seams done yet here, this does make a fair size cell phone pocket. And this is a large phone, and there's lots of room even though I don't have my seams done yet. And with, of course, the magnetic snap, it holds it in. Lots of room. Okay, so now what we're going to be working on next is we're going to create our D-ring and rectangle ring connectors. So in the pattern, she calls for 3/4 inch D-rings. I'm using 1 inch. I don't have 3/4 inch. And then I've just cut the, oh, of course I'm wearing dark. It's cold out today now that I'm in a different day. Anyways, I'm using just 1 inch webbing, black webbing, and I'm just going to take my lighter and just melt the ends. These are probably too long than what I need, but I will overhang them inside the bag so that it they don't pull out. And then I'm using 1.5 inch webbing for the rectangle ring. And this is the cotton webbing, so it does fray and it doesn't melt as well as the nylon. Okay, so with the D-rings, all I'm just going to do is put the D-ring connectors on, or just put the D-rings on the webbing. And then I'm going to just baste across the bottom so that they are secure. And I'll do that for the two of them. Now, when it comes to the rectangle ring, the 1.5 inch rectangle ring. I don't stock rectangle rings, but what I do is I use a tri-glide, and all I do is I take my pliers and I undo and I take off that middle bar, and then I've got a fast rectangle ring to use. So it's a great way so that you don't, if you have a tri-glide already, just take off the bar and now you have your own rectangle ring. Okay, so I'm just going to take the rectangle, and I'm going to make sure that this bar, you can just see it, if I can get close enough, the seam in the rectangle ring, make sure that that's covered by your webbing. Okay, and I'm just going to baste across the bottom of that. Okay, I have the placement of the D-rings now and the rectangle ring. So the rectangle ring is going to be centered on this top panel, and I have left an overhang so that when, so there's not going to be a super amount of the rectangle ring showing on this side, but I do want that overhang as more of a protection and for more stability. And then on my D-ring connectors, I have one on, so this would be the top edge. If you were, when you're wearing it this way, you're going to have the D-ring here, and then this one or the rectangle ring, and then the D-ring. So I've put it here, and I have quite a generous overhang. And then the other one is put here, right, just slightly on the over top of just covering the edge of that dart, and I have an overhang as well. So I'm going to baste those on. Wants to stick to my sewing machine bed. It's PVC. Gotta make sure I caught that on the back, just barely. Okay. Okay, so there we have our rectangle ring and one of our D-rings and the other D-ring. Okay, we're going to start working on the back zipper now. Alrighty, so now we're going to need your back panel piece A, and we need the one exterior piece and one of the lining pieces, which you would have cut mirrored. Now, initially I had said that I was going to put some Biani, this soft and stable foam, on this panel, but I've decided not to do that just because it might be a little hard when I turn the bag. So what we do is we put the right sides together, so the lining and the exterior fabric are going to go right sides together. In the pattern, on the pattern piece, there is a measurement to do your back zipper. So I have already marked that on my piece. Also in the pattern, it says to use interfacing here or another piece of lining as a help with the stability of the facing. But I'm just doing it because this lining, this PVC back lining, is pretty thick. So I'm just doing it right on the lining, and I'm going to stitch around the box, and then I'm going to cut it open and pull it in through the other side. Now, when I stitch around my zipper boxes, I also decrease my stitch length to a 2. Okay, so we'll just do that. We'll stitch around that. Okay, so there I have stitched it around. It's hard to see because it's on black. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut down that center line and cut that line up to the corners. And then cut those triangles out. This is a generous size pocket on the very back of the bag. And don't cut your stitching when you cut into those corners. I like using my little Fiskars, the Spring Assist scissors, because they're sharp and they have a nice point on the end. I bought these on Amazon, and I bought them from my card making days. Okay, now before we go any further, I'm going to take double-sided tape. I find it helps me the best. Okay, I don't need my clips on here anymore. But I find that double-sided tape for because I wrestle with turning these facings in, and the double-sided tape just helps me hold the edges so that I can turn it easier and hold it in place, hold the facing in place. So I just run a strip above the top and the bottom. And then the sides, just a piece on the sides. And that helps to keep any puckers out of your corners, because you can pull it tighter and it stays. Okay, so now we just take our lining and stuff it into the hole, flip it, I think. This is where it can get confusing. This is where it can get very confusing. I just turned it. Okay, this goes like this. Okay. That goes down so that the right side is now showing of the lining. Usually you have a small facing for this, but this is the full size of the panel lining. All right, so I'm going to work on this top edge because it's the shorter edge. Okay, so now I have the lining. I tell you, this is why I wrestle with it. Okay, there we go. We're getting there. Okay. This is why the double-sided tape comes in handy. So I'm going to take the double-sided tape off this top short edge. And I'm going to take my edges that I've just sewn and kind of pull them apart, even them out, and make sure that there's no stitching showing on the right side. And then use that double-sided tape to hold it down. I just find that using the double-sided tape when I'm working on my zipper boxes makes it so much easier for me. So maybe it's something that you guys already do. And as I fold that, I'm just going to clip these raw edges together just to make sure that they hold in place. It's cold in here this morning, which is why I have a sweatshirt on. It was only 9 degrees Celsius this morning. Maybe that's why things don't want to stick as well. Got to clip it down anyways because we'll be sewing all around the perimeter. But isn't this pretty? Aren't these colors gorgeous? From Sam Fabric Creations. It's like a stained glass floral. I'm going to check that on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to fold. I'll do my edges. The short sides. Line up there. So move the tape and realign. Okay, and then we do the underside of the large piece. Okay. Just pull this down a bit. It's not... Okay. So this is what we have, and I do have a little slight overhang which I'll trim, but we're going to baste this whole perimeter. and then I'll trim it after. Okay. So I'm just basting at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I'll increase my stitch length back to 3.5, which is what I always use. Okay, so this is what we have. So I'm just going to trim up those unruly edges. Okay, so we have the front, or the exterior and the lining sewn together now. So I'll just put it down here, just stick it on there for when we sew everything together. Okay, so now your zipper and zipper pull. Make sure your zipper pull is on your zipper. I've sewn many zipper tabs and zippers on things with forgetting to put the zipper pull on. And I'm probably not the only one. Okay. And just take your lighter. Just going to melt the ends a little bit so they don't fray. And I'm going to put double-sided tape, that's the thin stuff, on both edges. Okay, so you want, this is the top of the bag, because it's going to be laying this way on your body. This is the back of the bag, so it's going to be laying this way. So you want, this is the top and this is the bottom, top. So you want your zipper pull closing to the top. So you want your zipper pull, when you're looking at the right side of the exterior, going up towards this small curve. So I'll take the double-sided tape backing off. And then I'll center this zipper box over top of my zipper. So in my case, because I'm making the left hand version, the zipper pull is pulling to my right if you're horizontal, because this is the top of the bag here. It's sticking to me. Okay. When I lay my zipper box over top of the zipper tape, I center the zipper on the little short ends, like the zipper teeth in between the short ends. And that helps to line up the rest of the zipper on the top and bottom edges. So there we have it centered. And now I'm going to stitch all the way around the zipper, top stitching it onto there. And I'll go over the ends. I'll back stitch over the ends. I'm not pulling the threads to the back, but I'll back stitch over top of the ends of the zipper tape, just to make sure that they're in there securely. Okay, so there we have our zipper sewn in, and I'll be back with the next step. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our front piece and our back piece, and we're going to put them right sides together, clip all around, and then we're going to sew all around at the seam allowance in the pattern. Okay. Okay, so now, oops, trim off where my thread broke. Okay, so now we have the front, the back, and the front sewn together. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your pattern piece H, which is the front lining, and then you're going to pin that right sides together with this side. So I'll be back with that. Okay, so taking your pattern piece H, which is the front lining, we are going to put it right sides together with the right side of this back panel and the zipper. Clip it all together. And we're going to be leaving a turning hole in order to birth it. I'll just clip it all around first and then mark the turning hole. Okay, so I have clipped it all around. This straight edge here is going to be the turning hole, so I'm going to leave quite a generous turning hole. And then we're going to stitch it all around at the seam allowance in the pattern. And I'll start just where I'm going to be starting my turning hole, making sure that I back stitch before and after. Okay, so I'm just going to come up around that curve. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to take my pinking shears and trim some of these corners. I'm leaving my D-ring, like my connectors, long just for added support so they don't fray away. Do I have to trim anything? I think I'm pretty good. I'll do this corner. Just a little secret for when I do my seams. There's a certain seam allowance in patterns, and I always do my seams at 1/4 of an inch because it's easier for me just to follow the edge of my presser foot, which is 1/4 of an inch. So that's my little secret. Okay, so now we're going to take the bag, stick our hand in the hole, and we're going to birth this bag. Okay. Take your D-rings, use them to pull them out, the corners out a bit if you need to. Really work these edges. Once stuff gets put in there also, it pulls those seams out too. Okay, D-ring here. It's looking good. Okay, so this is where the turning hole is. So I'm not going to do it right now because it's going to take too long to dry. But what I do is, now you can turn this raw edge under 1/4 of an inch and turn it, you know, use double-sided tape and turn it against that, pushing the seam down into the bag. And then turn this edge and fold it like this and slip stitch it across, which is what is in the pattern. But what I wind up doing is I just run some fabric tack glue all in here, fold that edge, and then I clip it tightly all across there. And that's what seals it, because that fabric tack glue is amazing. So I'm not going to do that in this tutorial because, like I said, that's just going to take too long. And but this is what we have so far. Doesn't that look great? That looks amazing. Big, huge pocket at the back. Because I know she wanted it, and because my secret is that I use 1/4 of an inch seam allowance instead of whatever's written in the pattern, I wind up with a slightly bigger bag, and which is what she wanted, because she wanted to be able to put her tablet in the back. Lots of room for the cell phone. Yeah, this one slides in a lot. This one slides in really nice. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the strap now. Okay, so now we're going to make the strap, and it's going to be a two-tone strap, just like I showed in the reference bag up here, so that the strap will be matching. Let me get it down. We'll have this beautiful waterproof canvas detail in the center of the webbing. So what I have done is I cut a 1.5 inch wide strip of the waterproof vinyl. And then I folded the 2 raw edges into the center. So now it's, excuse me, it's 3/4 of an inch wide. And it's going to be going on the 1.5 inch wide webbing. I've put double-sided tape down the center so that I can center it onto the webbing. And now the webbing in the pattern, she calls for a certain measurement, excuse me, to cut your webbing. But my girlfriend, because this bag is for her, is taller than me. And she likes to have a long enough strap to get over her body. I have cut my strap, or for her strap, and I have cut it about 55, maybe 60 inches, so that it will be long enough for her to adjust it the way she wants it. So this is cotton webbing that I'm using, and I'm still going to take my lighter to the ends, just because there is a bit of polyester in it, to help the ends, to take the lighter to the ends to help them from fraying. Okay, and then I have taken double-sided tape and put it down the center, and I'm just going to center the strap that I have made, the decorative strap, down the center of the webbing. And then I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch on either side, and I'll be back after I've done that. Okay, so I have made the strap now, and isn't that gorgeous? That waterproof nylon from Sand Fabric Creations with the black webbing makes a really, really cool looking strap. And it has a kind of a bohemian look too. So I know my edges are a little long, so I'm just going to trim those off. Like I said, I did make the strap longer than what's in the pattern, just because I know that my girlfriend likes a larger strap. And I'm just going to take a lighter to the end of that nylon, even though it's going to be folded under. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we need our bag, and we're going to be hooking on everything onto the rectangle ring. So take your tri-glide. There is a right and a wrong side on this type of a tri-glide. The right side up, there's a curve on the bar, and the wrong side, it's flat. So that would be your underside. And take your strap. I'll try and do it over here because I have a dark sweatshirt on. Take your strap, go under the first hole, over the bar, and under. And then we're going to hook it on to the rectangle ring. I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. Yes. Okay, so move your strap up, your strap connector up, and I have it now about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches. I'm going to fold it under so that it has this, so that it doesn't have a raw edge showing, and I'm going to stitch across this end. Okay. Oops, daisy. I don't even think I needed to put the strap adjust slider. So I'm going to stitch across that. I'm going to stitch across here and here to make sure that it's secure. And it will be thick because this is a thicker webbing, plus the fact that I do have that extra waterproof vinyl in the thickness of it. I had to take a little quick break because You've met Frankie a few times in my videos, and she decided that she was going to knock a glass off the table. She got up onto the table and she decided she was going to knock a glass off the table and shatter it everywhere. So guess who was on cleanup aisle 1? Anybody want a cat? Gotta love your fur, kids. She loves, well, all cats love knocking stuff off tables. That's just being a cat. Okay. I'm just going to take my lighter to these thread ends just to seal them. It's the beauty of polyester thread. It melts. Okay, so there we now have it connected to our rectangle ring. And I've already got my slider on, so I'm going to get it out of my machine. I'm going to, this is the right side, so I'm going to find the other end. And I'm going to put my swivel clasp on, which is 1.5 inch wide to match the webbing. Make sure that your lobster claw is facing up. Slide that on all the way back to your slide adjuster. Let me move that down this way. Okay, turn it upside down. Wrong side showing. And make a peak. This is what I do. I make a peak here. And then I'm going to go, I want to make sure I'm going the right way. Okay, and I'm going to go under this side, the side that's away from the strap. Make sure your peak is high enough and you've got your strap end going through there, and then back over the middle bar. And you want your top part to be able, your top part of the strap to be able to be free to adjust. And this under part is going to be turned over about 1 inch. Move that down. And then you're going to sew it onto the under part of the strap. Okay. You just have to make sure that the strap loop is out of the way. Just make sure your edges are lined up. And I will sew that just like I did the other end. Sounds like the arborists are back chopping trees down, making lots of noise. So I'll do 2 bars of stitching. Okay, so my bobbin ran out and I had 1 row of stitching left to do. So I completed that. So I stitched the underneath here. So now our strap is finished. And other than me having to, after the video, finish closing up this raw edge that I'm going to do with the Fabri-Tac glue, because it will take, even though that glue is really fast, it sets up really fast. Because this is inside the bag, I want to make sure that it's completely sealed and the glue is dry. So I'm going to have it sit for the rest of the day and overnight. So I do know I have that to do. But this bag is absolutely gorgeous. So we have our adjustable strap. Okay, make sure I have it going the right way. Okay, so isn't this beautiful? And it has this beautiful, so as I said, I use the tan Moraful leather from EMMALINE bags. This exterior waterproof vinyl, PVC vinyl, is from Sam Fabric Creation, and that's what I made the coordinating strap with. And then inside is this big, huge pocket, and of course the pocket lining, because my girlfriend liked this color, the color scheme as well, is from Sam Fabric Creation. So it's a beautiful waterproof. In fact, there's probably room enough to put a water bottle. Lots of room for lots of stuff. You have your phone pocket. So this is my Samsung S25 Ultra. It's the biggest Samsung phone. And I'm not sure, it could be bigger than the Apples. But anyways, this slides into this phone pocket beautifully with the magnetic snap closure to hold it in. And then on the back, we have this big, huge, generous pocket on the back. And of course, there's my Made in Canada label that go in all of my bags. So here is how it can be worn. It can be worn this way. Now, don't forget, I made the left-handed version because my girlfriend wears her bags like I wear my bags. So I wear my bag, all my bags, the strap on my left shoulder. Let's just move you up. Okay, so, oh, the strap is nice at the longer length. Okay, so there it is. It is a great bag. It hugs your body. When you bend over, like me, putting a leash on Murphy's collar with a bag on here, the bag usually falls and hits him on the head, the poor little guy. But this doesn't. Like, look at, I'm bending over and it stays right here. You can wear your coat over top of it, especially winter's coming soon. You can put your seatbelt on with this as well. Oh, I still have my phone inside. And it is really, really great. You've got access to your pocket right here. You have access to your phone right here. You have access to the large pocket on the back of it. And if you want to wear it to orient it vertically, then you just switch your swivel clasp onto this D-ring. Now, if I was to wear it on my left shoulder, then my phone access is here, so I'd have to move my hand this way. But you still have access to all of your zippers, but you can easily switch it to this shoulder if she wanted to wear it this way. But I know she likes wearing it the horizontal, which is the way I prefer it too. But I didn't think that I was going to like this bag when I first got the pattern, and it took me a bit to decide to make it, but I absolutely love this. And then this D-ring that's sitting here, you can clip your keys to it as well. I really love this. You guys have got to try this. If you haven't tried the traveler pouch from Kandou Patterns, you've got to try it now. There is a mini. I do have the mini pattern as well, so I will be trying that. But look at this. It's absolutely beautiful. And I know she's going to love this. So thanks so much for hanging out with me again with sewing the traveler pouch from Kandou Pattern. Before I forget, I just want to make mention of one thing, is that one of my YouTube subscribers, Catherine Leslie, she reached out to me. She was going to be in the Barrie area last week. So she reached out to me to say, hey, let's meet. And so we met together. Of course, where else in Canada do you meet but at Tim Hortons? And we met at a Tim Hortons near where she was visiting in Barrie. And we really had a wonderful visit and got to know each other. And I just want to thank her for reaching out and connecting. And we both made fast friends, and now we're chatting with each other and checking stuff out. And one of the things that she did was, her and her husband, where they live, they tap and they make their own Canadian maple syrup. And she gave me this big, I forgot to get it, I was going to show it to you guys. She gave me this big, huge bottle of their own maple syrup, and it's fabulous. And I shared some with my brother and sister-in-law because I know that they like it too. So because there was a lot. Anyways, I want to thank her for that. And then one of the things I also did was a lot of the Louise Villeneuve from Sam Fabric Creation. She's so wonderfully generous with her when you place an order with her. And then, of course, she sent me that box as a gift for reaching 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, which of course just blew me away. Honestly, the box had to weigh at least 75 pounds. Like I couldn't even lift it. So one of the things that I want to be able to do is pay things forward like that. So when Catherine came, I put, she was going to go to Costco's and then she didn't have room in her car. Anyway, I put together 3 big, huge bags of wonderful things that Louise had sent me. So I gave her some, I gave her some of the thread to try, and a lot of the rolls of vinyl and a bunch of other stuff that I had. And so Catherine took away a lot of the, I was able to pay it forward, which I was very, very happy to do, and very thankful. Thanks from Louise for being so generous. So anyways, I just wanted to make mention. I'll post a picture in this video of the 2 of us, and then the maple syrup that she sent me, that she gave me as well. But I just want to thank Catherine for reaching out and for us connecting. And now we chit chat back and forth. Her husband is ex-military. My dad is retired. Well, he's passed away now, military. And he was with REME, that you can just see it in the background on the hat, the RCEME, which is the Royal Canadian Electrical Mechanical Engineers. Her husband was EME, because they still the same. They took out the Royal Canadian and just put the Electrical Mechanical Engineers. And as it turns out, my brother, Rob, who is rebuilding our front deck, he is a civilian at the REME school, and he teaches the same machinist course. He teaches the military guys the machinist course that my dad wrote back in the 70s when we lived there in Bourne. Anyhow, thanks again, Catherine, for connecting with me, and we will definitely be staying connected. Also, thank you, everybody, for watching my channel and supporting my channel. And, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, on the bottom right of your screen is a little red subscribe button. So click that. Make sure when you check the notification bell icon, click that. Because it automatically defaults to highlights, but make sure when you click the notification bell, you click all posts, so that you see everything, so that when I go live, you'll get a notification. When I post a new video, you'll get a notification as well. So get your pattern for the large traveler pouch from Kandou Patterns, and sew along with me. This is a really, really, I love this bag. Like I said, I didn't think that I would. I'm holding it that way, but it really should be this way, because this is the way you're going to wear it. And there's the strap as well. So get your pattern too, and sew along with me for the large Kandou, large traveler pouch from Kandou Pattern. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks again, Catherine, for connecting with me. And we'll see you in the next video.
you.